Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here for the last Goosebumps video for a while. Hopefully, and I mean, because there's always a twist in Goosebumps stories, so, there could be some sort of twist that leads me to doing another video, that would be pretty upsetting. But I decided it would be best to get this out of the way, and just because, tomorrow, I'm going to review American Horror Story characters and rank them, and I just want to keep the good stuff separate from the bad. So I am here to rank these characters from the Goosebumps 2023 series, which sucked. But again, we are talking about the characters here, not necessarily just talking about the show. I would also like to rate each character in terms of food, in terms of donuts in particular. I don't know why, but earlier today I was thinking I didn't give the show really a real food review, and I feel like I gotta give it something. I gotta give these characters donuts. I gotta say, this character is like this kind of donut. And I gotta do that for every single character. I don't know why. It's just a gut feeling that I have. Maybe I'm just really hungry for donuts, And by the way, earlier today I had an issue with the editing app. What happened was, apparently it was some issue with the app, and they released an update today to fix it, and so all I had to do was download that update, and it fixed everything really quick. So I was really, really thankful for that, because there's been a couple of things recently that have not been working as well, including deleting files. So after I do a video and I have the recording is a file that I then put a video with picture over, and so I've been having trouble deleting those files. So anyways, let's get started. We have 5 tiers. We have the fuck you tier, the dumb and dull tier, had potential tier, had good moments tier, and finally, the gives me goosebumps every time tier. Now, let's just get started. In last place, the worst character of the new series, after much consideration and thought and contemplation and I don't know, there's no more words to use. So the worst character of the new series is Margot. Now, she's definitely not the worst looking character of the series, that's for sure. She's far from that. But this character, she is so awful. She is so selfish. She is so, just everything that you talk about when you talk about these terrible modern day characters who, they always have to have these, agenda dialogue lines. At a certain point in the show, she's making jokes about Andrew Johnson, and it's yeah, he is one of the worst presidents, or maybe the worst, but, we don't need to have that in Goosebumps. It's just not a realistic line. And then at another point, she says that another girl is a strong, independent woman out loud, and just a lot of, really cringeworthy feminazi lines of dialogue like that. And her character, too, she's very selfish. And so at the end of the show, she undoes all of the good that the characters do so that she can get Isaiah back. And Isaiah being a guy who treated her terribly. And she wants to be with him for some reason because she's delusional and immature. And then meanwhile, Lucas, she doesn't want him to feel his emotions about what happened with Harold and all this stuff. So she kind of tells him to grow up and everything, like, after he's gone through all this stuff. And it's so strange, after she was so understanding about his dad dying and how that affected him, how now with this situation, she's like, all of a sudden, like, grow up and get over it. But then she can't get over Isaiah. So that's another hypocrisy. Lucas isn't allowed to, be upset about all the stuff that's happened recently. He has to move on. But Margot, she doesn't have to move on from Isaiah after he gets shot in the finale. No, she can undo everything that has been done that's good. Now, in terms of a donut, this was the very first one that I thought of. Margot is a Boston cream pie donut. She's thick. She's got some chocolate on her, and that doesn't even make any sense. The donut does, I guess. But then on the inside, she's got that custard. She's got that thick custard. Just that huge pocket of custard. So yes, Margot is a Boston cream pie. Now, next up, the second worst character is Isaiah. Now, I don't really know if it was the actor or if it was the writing, but he was a terrible character. He is basically the main character of the first episode, and he really doesn't do a good job of making you want to watch the show. There's a lot of people who didn't even watch the show past the first episode, and one of the reasons is because the main character, he is like just dull and really unlikable, and it gets to the point where he's just fulfilling stereotypes of like the jock who needs to get better grades in school, and then the jock who doesn't want to date the popular girl anymore. He wants to date the nerdy girl. Just all these stereotypes from teen movies. And he is just so, like, one-dimensional and so awful. And then the thing with, he basically sits around and waits for Lucas to mess up with Margot so that he can move in on her like a snake. And it's pretty terrible because for years, he has treated her terribly. He has treated her like, I don't know, but like he's treated her really badly in school, and he's a terrible person. And then also he wants to give up football so that he can be with her as well. That's another head-scratching thing of like, you want me to like this character, but he's going to give up his dreams so that he, and his work so that he can be with this biatch. Like, seriously? Like, that would be like me saying like, oh, sorry guys, I'm going to give up filmmaking so that I can be with that one girl. Like, oh, fuck that. Because Margot would never be asked to give up photography for Isaiah, so why should Isaiah be asked to give up football for any chick? Now, Isaiah, he is a strange donut. He is a donut that I didn't even know existed until last year. I went to the store. I thought that I was getting myself a chocolate Long John, which is one of my all-time favorite donuts. And I pick it out, and I'm like, yes, this is going to be perfect. But then I get home, and there is no cream on the inside of that chocolate Long John. Now, that is what Isaiah is. He is a creamless Long John. And apparently that type of donut is called a chocolate bar. I call it a shit bar because it sucks. So next up is the girly boy. He is also in the fuck you tier. Just so you guys know, these 5 characters that I'm talking about, they are fuck you tier. They are that bad. So girly boy, he starts off the series being very obnoxious too. He wears pearls to school, which is completely fantasy. No kid wears pearls to school at all. And he's like a flamboyant gay stereotype. He's really unlikable. He's really gross. Like at one point, he's making a joke about how Isaiah and Margot's relationship is like emotional edging. And if you guys don't know what edging is, like, look it up and then, you'll understand. He's just a really, like, terrible character. And there's no point in the show where he ever seems like a human person. He just seems like a stereotype. And I hate him. I just hate him. And then in the last episode, he's encouraging Isaiah to move in on Margot after earlier on in the series he said that they would never work together. So yeah, he's a terrible person. In terms of a donut, though, you know those packs of donuts that you used to get with like you had the cinnamon, the powdered one, the chocolate one, and then the regular one? James is the cinnamon powdered donut in that box. He's got lots of cinnamon. He's got lots of powder. And if you like cinnamon powdered donuts, you're in for a treat. This is weird. But I think it's kind of fun. Next up is Isabella's mom. She is a CUNT. She is supposed to be like Carly Beth's mom from The Haunted Mask, and she is just the worst human being. Like, I really wanted to put her at the very bottom, but apparently later on in the series, she kind of changes, but we don't even really get to see her after that change. After that, we don't even get to see her improve, really. She's just kind of, like, mellow after that. And she's, like, earlier on in the series, like, she was really evil to the point of where she was drugging up her friend illegally and keeping her in this asylum and just doing really awful shit. And so she's really, really bad. Hate her character, and she's nothing like how she's supposed to be. And in terms of being a donut, she is not actually a donut to me, because that would be an insult to donuts. She is like those apple cider donut Oreos. I don't know if you guys ever had those, but they were terrible. They had the vanilla Oreo cookie that I hate, and then on the inside they had this gross artificial apple flavor, and it was so bad, I threw it away after eating one Oreo. Like, I've never done that before. I have never committed that crime against humanity by throwing Oreos away, except for that one time. Because those Oreos were so bad, I was like, I'm not eating these. That's for sure. Kondu is the last character in the fuck you tier. He is Slappy in human form, and his character is abysmal, and that's putting it nicely. He was a World War I soldier or some fictional war, and then he discovered some magic words, and he became a magician. But he's one of those magicians who says, I'm not a magician, I am real. I am the real deal. And it's like, no, you're still a magician, buddy. And his whole plan is to bring monsters to life so that the monsters on Earth will scare humans into not fighting World War III. Like, I laugh every time I think or talk about that storyline of, like, his whole character of Slappy in human form is that he's an anti-war activist. Like, dumb. Okay. And in terms of donuts, he is a sugar twist. And those are some of my favorites. You know, those twist donuts where you have the two and it's like a twist and it's covered in sugar. You know, there's just something really, really delicious about those sugar twists. Next up is in the dumb and dull category, and that is Isaiah's father. Now, he really didn't have much character at all. He was just a part of the cover-up, and he was kind of another jackass jock like Isaiah, and there's nothing really else to him. So, essentially, he's like Isaiah grown up. And what is the donut I gave him? Oh, nothing. I gave him an old-fashioned donut, which is nothing. There's nothing on it. There's no sprinkles. There's no glaze. There's no different flavors. It's just a plain donut. And now I still like plain donuts, especially as a kid. I would always get that and then dip it in milk and just be like, yeah, it's fun to have a plain donut sometimes. But then right afterwards, you have one with flavor. That's for sure. And I think, too, with plain donuts, I think the attraction for people is maybe just dipping it in things. You know, because I know a lot of people, they have coffee with donuts. And I think a lot of people, they take that plain donut and they dip it in coffee. And so, but then you get that coffee flavor. So you see, it really is still about, the search for flavor in regards to the plain donut. I don't think anybody really just eats a plain donut without anything else. You know, that would be kind of similar to eating tortilla chips without anything on them. You know, which R.L. Stine had in that Don't Feed the Weirdo book. Now, Isabella is next up in Dumb and Dull. This character, she was a really terrible bastardization of Carly Beth. The actress did a great job acting. I really liked her acting in that episode. But after that, she really, really kind of blended in with the background. There was one point in the show where another girl says that she's a strong, independent woman, and so that was kind of oh, really? And then also she had another cringe line of dialogue, but her character is really just kind of nothing. You know, this whole concept of having these characters go through the Goosebumps stories and then they band together to fight evil, it really didn't work at all. Because in order to have that story work, you have to like the characters, and the characters actually have to be characters. But Isabella, she had no character after that Haunted Mask episode. You know, she had this whole thing where she was an internet troll, and that storyline went nowhere. The only resolution to that story is in another episode she says, "I'm sorry for trolling," or something like that, really, really bad. But in terms of donuts, she is a chocolate with sprinkles. Now that's one of my favorites. That is my second favorite or my number one favorite. You just have a circular chocolate donut with some chocolate frosting and then sprinkles. That is Isabella. Now, next up, the last person in the Dumb and Dull tier is Slappy the Dummy. Slappy the Dummy, he is just not great. His character is so weak. You can just kill him by, saying the magic words or stuffing him in a case or taking him apart. He's really not intimidating at all. And there was another part later on, where he was encouraging Harold to push this guy off a cliff. And then Harold is like, no. And then he picks up Slappy and throws him off the cliff. And it's like, that is not an intimidating villain right there. And so he was a terrible villain. Just another show with Goosebumps where everything revolves around Slappy. Just really, really, ugh. Now, Slappy is a chocolate frosted donut hole. Because donut holes, I really love donut holes, actually. Like, when I was a kid, I used to ride around in the cart in a different Kroger. I was going to say the name of the town, but I don't want to. And I would get those donut holes, a whole box of them, and I would just eat like 10 of them. Like, they are so delicious. And I really feel like, and what would happen was, I would kind of get sick because I would eat so many of those donut holes that I would just be sick of eating donut holes. You know, sick of eating holes in general. And and so Slappy, I'm kind of sick of Slappy at this point. You know, I would like to just see like the first 4 episodes, you know, where we get the other stories that are non-Slappy related, you know. Now, the only character I haven't had potential is Margot's real mother. And the reason why is because her character is like somewhere else in the US, and she makes this grand return, and it feels like her character is going to be really important to the show. But then it turns out that she's not really going to do much of anything besides, you know, provide a little bit more context for Harold's origin story. And then but not really, and then she doesn't really do much of anything else that makes her worth, like, bringing back, honestly. Other than, like, romance drama. But she had potential, you know. I really thought that she was going to come back to town and like, you know, be like the good adult out of the group, because the rest of the adults, aside the naive counselor, they were kind of bad, and they still haven't faced consequences for what they've done, by the way, which is weird because, like, Harold. Oh, we'll talk about Harold later. So, Margot's real mother, she's just a plain old chocolate glazed donut. You know, nothing special. Could have been a lot better. She could have been a chocolate. She could have been a Boston cream pie. You know, she could have been a lot better. Now, the first person that has good moments, or had good moments, is Margot's father, the school counselor. Now, I thought that he was one of the better actors in the season. He had quite a few funny lines. I feel bad for the actor, though, because it feels like he needs work, because the last time I saw him was in that awful Snow Day remake, and as the dad. And I just feel like he's in all these shitty projects now because he needs to be. And so I kind of feel bad for him. And his character in the show, he is totally, like, naive to the situations going on. And I really felt like this character was also kind of a had potential character because he's a counselor. And so it would have been a lot more interesting in a better show for these kid characters to go through these Goosebumps stories and to be able to come to him for help or something. So really, the role that they kind of gave to Justin Long is really probably the role that they should have given to the counselor. He should have been kind of like their voice of reason in helping them deal with this Goosebumps problem. In terms of donuts, he's really kind of like a plain Jane type of character, and so I give him white powdered donuts. those are classic. Those are, typical, just everyone's had one of those. Those little powdery things that, the powder gets everywhere, and, you could probably snort the powder and and feel like you're getting high on cocaine or something, because it's so sugary, and it's so artificial on the inside too. Like, you look on the inside of them donuts, and it's just like bleached flour, you can tell. And I don't really eat many of those anymore, hardly at all. So, next up in the had good moments is Nora. She's another character where she had some good moments. She really, I guess, was like the heart of the parents group, because she was the one who kind of really understood the most that they did something wrong and that Harold was a good guy. And I can't remember which one in the group, though, that Harold was supposed to get with, because she should have been like the focal point for him, his character. But yeah, she still could have been a lot better. She was the actress was really carrying the show at certain points, because her character, she was just not that great, but the actress, she did a great job when she could. And so she's a glazed donut. She's another plain donut, just a glazed donut. And yeah, glazed donuts just aren't all that, are they? At the top of the had good moments tier is Harold. I really felt like, even though Harold was Freddy Krueger Jr., I really liked the actor, and I really liked how he had this, really... I mean, you really felt sorry for him, because he got killed, and he was being influenced by Slappy, and, he was a loner, and, his character had so much more potential, though, for, a better show and a better story. And, but he really, looking back, the Harold story was a lot better than the Slappy story. And so, I did kind of miss Harold after he left the show. And I would also put him at the top too, because he moved on. He realized that Slappy was bad, and he moved on. And so his character deserves props. In terms of donuts, he's like a chocolate donut. Now, I want to make a distinction. You know the chocolate donuts that are hard on the outside, they have the chocolate shell. Harold has a chocolate shell, and on the inside, he's got a chocolate donut. Now, we're to the top 3. This is in the gives me goosebumps every time tier. Number 3 is Mr. Brat. Now, honestly, Justin Long, he's one of the best actors. He's one of the greatest. He's amazing. Whenever he's on screen, he is all you're paying attention to. And if not for him being in this show, it really would be the worst show of all time. He is the only thing stopping me from putting this show below Broadchurch Season 3 and Better Call Saul Season 6. That being said, he has a lot of weak moments for his character, like the part where he just says that the characters should accept their fates and, be in the house forever and get to know each other for all eternity. And then there's another point where he is a really bad writer, so he doesn't want to come up with the ending himself. he wants Slappy to do it for him. That was just kind of the writers massaging their own egos. But that's a knock on his character. That knocks him down from being a number one, which really he should be, because, as I said, if not for Justin Long being in this show would be the worst show of all time. And I'm not being hyperbolic. I am being serious. Deadly serious. No, I'm just kidding. Mr. Brat, though, I gave him my favorite donut flavor. My favorite donut is strawberry with sprinkles. That's Homer Simpson's favorite donut. That is my favorite donut. There's just something that I love about the strawberry frosting, and just something magical about the sprinkles. And I don't know what it is. Like, I really like to have a variety, though. I like to have one of those, but then I'd also like to have like a Long John, or like a Boston cream pie, or like, a circular fat one with cream on the inside, like, but not the Boston cream, but the other cream, the icing, or whatever you call it. I don't know what that's called. The number 2 best characters on the show were Harold's parents. Harold's parents were great people. They were some really nice parent characters, and they were just completely good all the way around. I have nothing bad to say about them at all. They even forgave Harold after he turned them into dummies, and then I guess he sent them to hell. So, like, they are very forgiving parents. So I would give them a cinnamon roll, because I feel like everybody loves cinnamon rolls. Like, you won't find one person who says, like, oh, I hate the cinnamon rolls. You got me a cinnamon roll? I wanted a plain donut. Yeah. So his parents are definitely cinnamon rolls. The number 1 character for me is Lucas. Now, Lucas, he started off as a bully, and he would have been in the worst characters if not for the actor and then the story changing a little bit. His character, I felt like, was the most human character out of all the people on the show. He was the actor did such a good job in the Go Eat Worms episode. He was just incredible, and he was getting over his dad's death, and he was also like an adrenaline junkie, and he had a great character arc in that episode, even though it was terrible and it was awful. It was not Go Eat Worms. He was really awesome as a character, and the acting was really good. And he was the underdog. He was the person who I rooted for. I rooted for him to get together with Margot, because, that'll make him happy. And so, might as well, even though her character's like a raging feminazi, might as well. So, yeah, I really thought that his character was the best looking back. And then after all the Goosebumps events happen, he's the only character who actually is, like, affected by what happened. All the other kids, they just switch back into, like, stereotypical teenage mode. And Lucas is the only teenager in the group who's, like, upset about what happened, and who's, like, really been affected once again by, like, all the stuff that's taken place in town. And so for that, I put him at number 1, just because he is the most human character of the group. And in terms of donuts, he is a jelly donut. On the outside, he's got this soft, powdery kind of, donut But on the inside, he's got that strawberry jelly. And once you get to the inside of the jelly donut with the strawberry jelly, that's when you're in for a good time. I just wanted to make that sound as creepy as possible. I hope it did. If it didn't, then thumbs this video down and tell me to do a creepier job next time. Because I will. I take notes very well, unlike the people who made the first Goosebumps movie. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my ranking of the characters. I like donuts a lot. I want one right now, but I can't have one, so I'm going to go cry. I'm going to go cry like Lucas while listening to cringeworthy songs. And then please subscribe to our channel. Oh, wait, no, I'm not supposed to say that first. No, please comment and like. Or, no, please like this video and comment on this video if you agree with the rankings. Because I know a lot of people hated Lucas for being a bully. And I agreed that he still needed to pay for being a bully. But you know, they didn't want to do that because they didn't want to tell the Go Eat Worm story, even though it would have been perfect for him. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest reviews. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon. And hashtag Dunkin' Donuts.